Holy Spirit warns they're fake. Listen up. I need you to hear this, and I need you to hear this, and I need you to hear it clear. There's a power inside you, a spirit that guides you, warns you, and leads you on the path of truth. And today I want to talk about something we need to wake up to, something that could change the entire course of your life if you understand it. The Holy Spirit speaks to you through your inner instincts and feelings. When it whispers or nudges you, it's not just some random thought or feeling, it's a divine communication meant to guide you in the right direction. Often, we tend to dismiss these inner promptings because we're so caught up in the noise of the world around us. We look for external validation, and we rely on the opinions of others to guide us. But deep inside, you know there's a voice that's always present, a guiding force that pushes you towards truth, clarity, and purpose. We live in a society that constantly tries to drown out the internal voice. The world tells you to follow trends, to do what everyone else is doing, to chase after things that may seem good but don't always align with your true purpose. And in this noisy world, it's easy to ignore that inner voice, the one that comes from a higher source, the Holy Spirit. But this voice is not one that should be dismissed. It's a lifeline. It's your connection to your higher self, and ultimately to your Creator. That gut feeling you get when something doesn't feel right, when a situation or a person seems off, that's the Holy Spirit trying to get your attention. It's not just a coincidence. It's not just your imagination. When you feel that tightness in your chest or that unease in your stomach, that's the Holy Spirit giving you a heads up. It's telling you to be cautious, to question, to dig deeper. So often we brush these feelings aside because they seem too uncomfortable, too inconvenient. But the truth is that discomfort is trying to protect you. The thing is, these inner warnings are never random. They come when you need them the most. And they're often the strongest when you're about to make a decision or enter into a relationship that doesn't serve you. The Holy Spirit, with all its power and wisdom, knows exactly what's best for you. It sees the bigger picture, even when you can't. It knows who's for you and who's against you, even when their actions seem to say the opposite. The Spirit is not deceived by appearances. It sees straight through to the heart of the matter, and it will make sure that you're aware of what's at stake. The problem we face, though, is that we live in a world where we're constantly pressured to act quickly, to make decisions on the spot, and to trust our intellect and reasoning above all else. But intellect alone can only take you so far. What the mind doesn't see, the Spirit can perceive. This is why it's so important to lean into your inner guidance, especially in moments of uncertainty. When everyone around you is telling you one thing, but something inside of you says another, that's when you must trust the Holy Spirit the most. It is the truest form of wisdom you will ever encounter, and it is always aligned with your best interests. We also live in a culture that encourages doubt. We question everything and everyone, especially when we don't have immediate proof of their intentions. But that's where the Holy Spirit comes in. It operates on a different level. It doesn't always provide a step-by-step plan, and it doesn't always give you all the answers up front. What it does provide is an unmistakable sense of knowing. You don't need to see everything clearly to know the next step. If you're willing to trust and follow that inner voice, it will lead you through the fog, even when you can't see the path ahead. It will bring clarity in the chaos, but you've got to be open to listening. This ability to listen is not something that's always natural. We become so accustomed to relying on our external senses, looking at the physical world and gathering evidence before making decisions. But what the Holy Spirit offers is a deeper kind of wisdom that transcends logic. It's not about waiting for perfect signs or immediate answers. It's about listening to that voice within and trusting it, even when everything around you seems uncertain. It requires faith, but more than that, it requires a willingness to step out of the comfort zone and trust something bigger than yourself. You've got to ask yourself, how often do you listen to that inner voice? How often do you second guess it only to regret it later? The more you ignore the nudges of the Holy Spirit, the easier it becomes to dismiss them altogether. And before you know it, you'll be walking down a path that wasn't meant for you, tangled in situations and relationships that drain you rather than elevate you. This is why listening to the Spirit is so important. It's not just about avoiding disaster, it's about living a life that's aligned with your highest potential. The good news is that the more you listen to the Holy Spirit, the stronger your connection becomes. It's not a one-time thing. It's a relationship, one that deepens and grows as you continue to trust and obey the guidance it offers. And over time, you'll learn to distinguish the voice of the spirit from the noise of the world. You'll start to recognize when something doesn't feel right, even before it fully manifests. And that's when you know you're truly walking in alignment with your higher purpose. But in order to do that, you've got to create space for the spirit to speak. You've got to quiet the noise, silence the distractions, and allow yourself the time and space to hear the whispers. The world will tell you that you need to be constantly moving, constantly achieving, constantly doing. But the truth is, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just sit still, listen, and trust the guidance that comes. The Holy Spirit doesn't need to shout to get your attention, it only needs you to be present enough to hear it. The Holy Spirit speaks through your inner instincts and feelings, but you've got to be willing to listen. If you're always caught up in the external world, you'll miss the quiet but powerful whispers of wisdom that are trying to guide you. So take a moment, take a step back. Tune out the distractions and start listening to the voice within. It's the most important voice you'll ever hear. We live in a world full of deception. People wear masks, hide their true intentions, and create illusions of who they are and what they stand for. In a society where everything is not always what it seems, it becomes crucial to develop the skill of discernment. The Holy Spirit equips you with the ability to see beyond the surface, to look beyond the facade, and to understand the truth that lies beneath. This discernment is not something that comes automatically. It's a skill that needs to be honed, a practice that requires patience and faith. But once you begin to develop it, you'll find that it's the most powerful tool you have for navigating through life. In a world where appearances often deceive, it can be easy to fall into the trap of believing what you see. People are good at putting on a show, presenting a polished image to the world, pretending to be something they're not. But the Holy Spirit helps you to see through that. It gives you the ability to recognize when something doesn't feel right, even when everything seems fine on the surface. It warns you when someone's intentions are not aligned with your best interests. When you're in tune with the Holy Spirit, you don't have to rely on outward appearances alone. You can feel the energy, the truth behind the words, and the authenticity of the actions. You can tell when something is genuine and when it's just a mask. The world often tells us to trust people based on how they present themselves. We're told to follow the crowd, to accept things as they are, to believe in what we see with our eyes. But the Holy Spirit is telling you to question that. It's telling you that what's visible to the human eye is only part of the picture. The true essence of a person, of a situation, can't always be seen immediately. Sometimes you have to dig deeper, look beyond what's in front of you, and listen to that inner voice that helps you discern the truth. The Holy Spirit gives you the wisdom to distinguish between truth and lies, authenticity and falsehood. It opens your eyes to see the motives behind actions, to understand the deeper meaning behind words. The more you align yourself with the Spirit, the clearer your discernment becomes. You begin to understand that not every smile is genuine, not every compliment is sincere, and not every promise is meant to be kept. You start to feel the difference between someone who is genuinely interested in your well-being and someone who is just trying to manipulate or use you. That's the power of discernment, the ability to recognize when something or someone is fake, even when they are trying to convince you otherwise. When you rely solely on your intellect and the opinions of others, you can easily be swayed by external appearances. You can be misled by someone who is good at putting on a mask, who knows how to speak the right words and act in a way that makes them seem trustworthy. But the Holy Spirit doesn't let you fall for that. It shows you the truth, even when you don't want to see it. It helps you recognize the red flags that others may miss, the subtle signs that someone's actions don't align with their words. It gives you the courage to trust what you feel and see beyond the surface. This discernment is a gift. It's not something that comes from reasoning or logic, but from a deeper spiritual connection to your true self and to the divine. The Holy Spirit is always there, guiding you, helping you understand when someone is being genuine and when they're pretending to be something they're not. And that's crucial in a world where deception is all around us. It's easy to be fooled, easy to be taken advantage of if you don't have the spiritual discernment to see through the lies. But with the Holy Spirit, you don't have to worry about being deceived. You have a built-in radar that will help you detect the truth, even when it's hidden beneath a well-crafted mask. The power of discernment goes beyond just recognizing fake people or situations. It also helps you understand when your own actions are not aligned with your truth. Sometimes we deceive ourselves. We put on masks, wear facades, and pretend to be something we're not because we think it's what others expect of us. But the Holy Spirit helps you see when you're not being true to yourself. It helps you recognize when you're living inauthentically, when you're trying to fit into someone else's mold rather than embracing your true self. This self-awareness is essential because it allows you to make the necessary changes and realign with your purpose and your values. One of the most powerful aspects of the Holy Spirit's discernment is its ability to help you make decisions. When you face a choice, when you're not sure which direction to take, the Holy Spirit helps you weigh your options. It brings clarity when you're stuck in confusion, showing you the path that will lead you to your highest good. Discernment helps you navigate through difficult decisions, knowing that the Holy Spirit is guiding you toward what is best for you, even if it's not always the easiest or most comfortable path. The key to developing and trusting this discernment is surrender. You have to let go of the need to control everything and trust that the Holy Spirit is leading you in the right direction. It's not always about having all the answers or being certain about the outcome. It's about trusting the process and knowing that with the Holy Spirit's guidance, you're moving towards something greater. When you learn to trust your discernment, you'll find that your decisions become more aligned with your true purpose, and you'll begin to see the difference between what's fake and what's real. The Holy Spirit has a way of revealing things to us, sometimes in the most subtle ways, sometimes with a power that can't be ignored. It's not always about dramatic signs or clear-cut answers, but more about that quiet, persistent nudge that comes from within when something isn't right. The more attuned you are to the Holy Spirit, the more you will begin to notice these small signs that others might miss. These signs are there to protect you, to guide you, and to help you avoid making choices that could lead you down a dangerous or unproductive path. One of the most powerful aspects of the Holy Spirit's role in your life is that it helps you recognize fake people, fake situations, and false opportunities, allowing you to make the right choices in the face of deception. We live in a world that thrives on appearances. People spend so much time building their image, presenting themselves in a way that makes them look successful, trustworthy, or likable, regardless of whether or not that image aligns with their true character. They wear masks, and they hide their true intentions behind a facade of facade, beauty, or intelligence. This can make it incredibly difficult to distinguish between what's real and what's fake, especially when the world around us is constantly telling us to trust what we see. But the Holy Spirit doesn't operate on the surface level. It sees things for what they truly are, and it's always working to help you see through the illusions. The Spirit will give you a sense of awareness that transcends outward appearances, helping you sense when something is off, even when everything seems perfect on the outside. The key to understanding this gift of discernment from the Holy Spirit is learning to listen. We are often so distracted by the noise of life, the constant flow of information, the demands of others, the pressures of our daily responsibilities that we forget to slow down and tune into that quiet, guiding voice within. The Holy Spirit speaks in ways that are gentle, not forceful. It doesn't shout at you or demand attention, it simply whispers, nudges, and directs. But if you're not paying attention, you'll miss it. You might feel that something isn't quite right, but because you didn't take the time to listen to the Spirit, you might end up ignoring that warning and walking right into a trap. The truth is, when the Holy Spirit warns you, it's doing so for a reason. It's trying to protect you from being deceived, from being misled, or from making choices that aren't in alignment with your highest good. One of the most difficult things about recognizing when something is fake is that it often looks just like the real thing. Deception doesn't always come in the form of a glaring lie. Sometimes it's much more subtle. It's a person who seems perfect at first glance, but whose actions don't align with their words. It's a situation that appears to be exactly what you need, but as you dig deeper, you realize it's not as it seems. And sometimes it's an opportunity that promises the world but comes with hidden strings attached. These things can be difficult to recognize on your own, especially if you're not tuned into the Holy Spirit. The Spirit helps you cut through the noise and see things for what they really are, even when they're disguised as something else. When you begin to develop your relationship with the Holy Spirit, you'll start to see that this kind of discernment is not about judgment or criticism, but about protection. It's about ensuring that you don't waste time, energy, or resources on things that are not meant for you. The Holy Spirit knows what's best for you even when you don't. It sees the bigger picture, the consequences of your decisions, and the people you're interacting with. And it will help you recognize when you're dealing with someone or something that isn't aligned with your values or your destiny. The Spirit's job is to protect you from making mistakes that will take you off course, even if those mistakes look appealing in the moment. By paying attention to the Spirit's warnings, you give yourself the best chance at success, peace, and fulfillment. This discernment is not just for identifying fake people or situations, though it's also about recognizing the truth in the midst of confusion. Often, we're faced with choices that aren't black and white, and there's no clear good or bad option. In these situations, the Holy Spirit provides clarity. It gives you the wisdom to understand which path is aligned with your highest good and which one will lead you away from it. The Holy Spirit doesn't force you to choose one path over another, but it does guide you toward making the right decision. It will give you peace when you're on the right track and discomfort when you're not. It will give you that inner knowing, that deep sense of conviction that tells you when something is meant for you and when it's not. Learning to trust the Holy Spirit's guidance requires faith and patience. It's not always easy to listen when you're facing the pressure of making a decision or when you're surrounded by the noise and distractions of the world. But the more you learn to trust and lean into the Spirit, the clearer the guidance will become. It won't be a one-time thing either. The more you tune into the Holy Spirit, the more you will begin to recognize when something is fake, when it's not what it seems, and when it's time to walk away. You'll start to develop a sharper sense of discernment that will help you navigate even the most complex situations with wisdom and confidence. The Holy Spirit doesn't just help you avoid fake people or situations, it also helps you avoid faking it yourself. It's easy to get caught up in the pressure of needing to perform or to present yourself in a way that others expect. But the Holy Spirit encourages authenticity. It reminds you that you don't have to pretend to be someone you're not in order to be accepted or successful. The Spirit calls you to embrace who you truly are and to trust that the right opportunities, people, and situations will come to you when you're being true to yourself. In a world that constantly tells you to fake it until you make it, the Holy Spirit tells you to be real, to be honest, and to trust that the right things will come when you're aligned with your true purpose. When you trust the Holy Spirit, you don't have to be afraid of the fake. You don't have to fear being misled or deceived, because the Holy Spirit will always help you see through the illusion. It gives you the wisdom, the insight, and the strength to make decisions that are true to you and to walk away from what isn't. The Spirit's guidance will never fail you, and the more you learn to trust it, the clearer your path will become. The Holy Spirit's warnings aren't meant to make you paranoid, they're meant to protect you, to guide you, and to ensure that you're living a life that's authentic, purposeful, and aligned with the truth. You said, Keynote NO.4 expanded into 800 words. Don't add ending sentences. Don't add any hidings. ChatGPT said. ChatGPT. The Holy Spirit's warnings are not just there to direct you away from danger, they're also there to reveal the truth of who you are and help you stand firm in your identity. In a world full of falsehoods, deception, and manipulation, it's easy to get lost in the noise and forget who you truly are. It's easy to become so wrapped up in the expectations of others or in the pressure to fit into a certain mold that you lose sight of the unique purpose and power that you carry. But the Holy Spirit reminds you of your worth, your strength, and your true calling. The more you listen to the Spirit, the more you can separate yourself from the influence of fake people and false systems and align yourself with the truth of who you are. It's easy to get caught up in a world that constantly tells you to be someone you're not. Social media, the entertainment industry, and even your own circle of friends and family can create an environment where you feel the need to pretend, to fake it, to show up as something you're not, just to be accepted or to be seen as valuable. But deep down, you know that this isn't the truth. The Holy Spirit is always there to remind you of who you are beneath the surface, beyond the facade. It speaks to your soul, urging you to take off the mask and show up as your authentic self, even if the world around you is demanding something different. It's a battle of perception. The world tells you to fake it until you make it, but the Holy Spirit whispers a different truth, that you are already enough as you are. You don't need to pretend to be perfect, to have it all together, or to fit a certain image. The Holy Spirit, in its wisdom, helps you understand that your value doesn't come from external validation, but from your intrinsic worth. It calls you to embrace your flaws, your imperfections, and your authenticity. It helps you realize that the more you align with your true self, the more the right opportunities, relationships, and experiences will naturally flow into your life. When you listen to the Holy Spirit, you begin to see the difference between what's real and what's fake. The Spirit doesn't just help you identify fake people or situations, but it also helps you see the fake parts of yourself, the parts of you that you've built to survive in a world that values appearance over substance. These fake parts of yourself are often a result of fear of rejection, fear of not measuring up, or fear of being misunderstood. But when you allow the Holy Spirit to guide you, you begin to dismantle those fake parts and step into your true identity. You begin to realize that the only validation you need is the validation that comes from within, and the only approval you need is the approval of your Creator. This journey of self-discovery is not always easy. It's difficult to let go of the parts of yourself that you've built up over the years to protect yourself. It's hard to stop pretending and to show up as your true self when you've spent so much time hiding behind a mask. But the Holy Spirit helps you to break through those barriers. It gives you the courage to face your fears, to embrace your weaknesses, and to let go of the need for external validation. The more you listen to the Spirit, the more you will realize that there is nothing to fear in being authentic. In fact, it is only through embracing your true self that you will experience true freedom. Fake people and fake situations are a reflection of a world that values the surface over the substance, appearance over reality, and performance over authenticity. But the Holy Spirit helps you see through these illusions. It opens your eyes to the truth, to what is real and lasting. It helps you realize that the things you're chasing, whether it's status, money, or approval, are not the things that will bring you true fulfillment. The Spirit shows you that the things of the world are fleeting, and that real peace, joy, and success come from aligning with your true self and with the purpose that God has placed inside of you. The Holy Spirit's warnings aren't always loud and dramatic. Sometimes they come in the form of a quiet nudge or an inner knowing that something isn't right. But if you're paying attention, if you're truly in tune with the Spirit, you'll be able to discern when something is fake, even if it looks good on the outside. You'll be able to tell when someone is pretending to be something they're not, or when an opportunity is promising more than it can deliver. The more you allow the Spirit to guide you, the more you'll develop a keen sense of discernment that will help you avoid falling into traps, wasting time on things that don't align with your true purpose, or surrounding yourself with people who aren't genuine. But it's not just about avoiding the fake, it's also about embracing what is real. The Holy Spirit helps you build an authentic life. It helps you align your thoughts, your actions, and your intentions with the truth of who you are and the purpose you were created for. The ability to discern authenticity from falsehood is one of the greatest gifts the Holy Spirit provides, and it's a gift that we all must embrace. In a world that's constantly pushing us to live up to external standards, to perform in ways that appeal to the masses, and to build identities based on approval and validation from others, the Holy Spirit offers us a quiet, steady voice that guides us back to the truth of who we are. It helps us see when we're being manipulated, when we're chasing after things that don't truly matter, and when we're compromising our true selves to fit into a mold that wasn't meant for us. The Spirit offers us a powerful tool, discernment. The Holy Spirit helps us distinguish the real from the fake, the authentic from the manufactured, so that we don't fall prey to the traps set by the world, or by people who do not have our best interests at heart. Every single day, we are bombarded with choices and temptations that pull us away from our true selves. We live in a culture that thrives on appearances, where what's on the outside often takes precedence over what's inside. It's easy to get caught up in this. We can begin to believe that the way we look, the things we have, or the approval we get from others define our worth. But the Holy Spirit calls us to see beyond these fleeting things. It calls us to see deeper, to discern the truth of situations, and to avoid being deceived by the fake masks people wear. The Holy Spirit doesn't want us to become part of the fake world, to live in a way that conforms to external expectations. It's not about living for the applause, the followers, or the fame. It's about living for the truth that lies within us, for the genuine calling that God has placed on our lives. This process of discernment is not just about others, it's also about ourselves. The Holy Spirit works within us to reveal the areas where we may be faking it too. There are parts of us that have been shaped by fear, insecurity, and the desire to be accepted. We might fake confidence when we're actually feeling vulnerable. We might put on a brave face when we're really hurting inside. We might pretend to have it all together when, in reality, we are struggling with our own doubts and fears. But the Holy Spirit is there to reveal these falsehoods, to help us see the areas where we've built facades, and to empower us to live authentically. The Spirit doesn't just point out the fakes in others, it helps us confront the fakes within ourselves so that we can step into the fullness of who we were created to be. It encourages us to stop pretending, to stop hiding behind masks, and to show up as our true selves, even when it feels uncomfortable. In a world full of fake promises and empty promises, the Holy Spirit becomes the constant reminder that what we see on the surface is not always what's real. It teaches us that true fulfillment doesn't come from external success or possessions. It's easy to be swayed by the world's definition of success, but the Holy Spirit helps us realize that real success is not about fame, money, or material things. It's about living in alignment with our purpose, embracing the fullness of who we are, and walking in the truth of God's calling for our lives. The more we listen to the Holy Spirit, the more we become aware of the illusion of the world's promises. We stop chasing after things that don't bring lasting happiness, and instead we start seeking after what is true, meaningful, and lasting. Sometimes the world will present us with opportunities that seem too good to pass up. We're told that we need to act fast to make the most of what's right in front of us, or to follow the latest trends. But the Holy Spirit helps us to take a step back and see beyond the surface. It helps us understand that not every opportunity is a God-given one, and that just because something looks good doesn't mean it's meant for us. The Holy Spirit gives us the wisdom to slow down, to reflect, and to make decisions based on what's truly aligned with our values and purpose, not just what's popular or what promises quick results. It teaches us that the best decisions aren't made out of fear or pressure, but out of faith and trust in God's timing and guidance. Fake people are often easy to spot once we develop the spiritual discernment that the Holy Spirit provides. But we must also remember that fake people are often just reflecting the insecurities, fears, and pressures of their own lives. They may be trying to impress others, gain approval, or build an image of themselves that they think will make them more acceptable. The Holy Spirit teaches us to look beyond the mask, to see people for who they truly are, and to respond with empathy and compassion. Instead of rejecting the fake, we are called to be the truth living authentically, treating others with love and respect, and not allowing ourselves to be influenced by the masks that others wear. The more we listen to the Holy Spirit's voice, the more we recognize the power of being authentic, of being real, even when it's hard. This is why it's essential to build a deep relationship with the Holy Spirit. The more we allow the Spirit to guide us, the more we tune into the voice that directs us toward truth, wisdom, and authenticity. We cannot afford to ignore the Spirit's warnings, the nudges that tell us when something isn't right, or when something is not aligned with our true purpose. The Holy Spirit helps us navigate through the noise, to stay grounded in the truth of who we are, and to recognize when the world is presenting us with a fake version of reality. The fake world will always try to lure us with promises of quick fixes, easy answers, and superficial validation. But the Holy Spirit reminds us that true peace, joy, and success come from a life built on authenticity, truth, and purpose. When we listen to the Spirit, we find the strength to resist the allure of the fake and the courage to embrace the real. This isn't always an easy road. There will be moments of temptation, moments when the fake looks appealing, and moments when we question whether living authentically is worth it. But the Holy Spirit is always there, guiding us, reminding us that the real life, the life filled with truth, purpose, and peace, is always worth the sacrifice. The more we trust the Spirit, the more we learn to discern the fake from the real, and the more we build a life that reflects our true selves. A life that is rooted in the authenticity that God has placed within us. The world is constantly changing, and the pressures to fit in, to live up to certain standards, or to conform to expectations can be overwhelming. We often find ourselves surrounded by false narratives, fake representations, and superficial images of success, beauty, and happiness. In this environment, it's easy to lose sight of who we really are and to adopt false identities or unhealthy habits in order to feel accepted or validated. The Holy Spirit, however, serves as the ultimate guide and protector, warning us when things aren't right, when we're being misled, or when we're about to fall into a trap. It's like a spiritual alarm system that goes off when the world's influence begins to pull us away from our true path. The Holy Spirit constantly warns us when we're dealing with fake people, fake situations, or fake promises. It enables us to discern the difference between what is real and what is merely an illusion. This isn't always easy, especially in a world that thrives on image and appearance. People will try to convince us that the fake is the real deal, that appearances are everything, and that success is measured by how others perceive us. But the Holy Spirit teaches us that true success is found in authenticity, in living in alignment with God's will, and in embracing who we truly are. It reminds us that the world will often try to lure us with false promises and empty validations. These temptations may come in the form of popularity, wealth, status, or influence, but they're ultimately hollow. The Holy Spirit warns us to be cautious and discerning, to avoid chasing after things that may look good on the outside but are devoid of lasting value. The Holy Spirit helps us see that true fulfillment and peace come from living authentically, from embracing our unique purpose, and from being connected to the source of all truth. It helps us recognize that the real value in life lies not in the external, but in the internal, the integrity of our hearts, the sincerity of our relationships, and the authenticity of our actions. So when we encounter fake situations or people who are not genuine, the Holy Spirit doesn't just warn us to stay away, it provides us with the wisdom to understand why these things are not meant for us. It helps us navigate through the confusion, to recognize the traps that are being set before us, and to avoid falling into them. It doesn't matter how convincing the fake may be, or how much pressure the world puts on us to conform, it's the Holy Spirit that gives us the clarity to see the truth. As we walk through life, we will encounter situations where the fake will try to infiltrate our lives. These situations can take many forms. It could be a relationship where someone pretends to care about us but is only interested in their own gain. It could be a business opportunity that promises wealth and success but is rooted in deception. It could be a lifestyle that seems glamorous and desirable but leads to emptiness and despair. Whatever form it takes, the Holy Spirit warns us when things aren't right. It's the inner voice that speaks to us in those moments of uncertainty, guiding us away from the fake and pointing us toward the real. But the warning from the Holy Spirit isn't just about the external world, it also applies to our internal world. The Holy Spirit helps us discern when we're being fake with ourselves, when we're pretending to be something we're not, or when we're living inauthentically. Sometimes we create false identities to protect ourselves, to avoid facing our insecurities, or to gain approval from others. We may put on a mask to hide our true feelings or to create an image of strength when we're actually struggling. But the Holy Spirit gently calls us back to authenticity. It urges us to be real with ourselves, to confront our fears, and to stop pretending that we have it all together when we don't. It encourages us to drop the mask, to embrace our vulnerability, and to live from a place of honesty and integrity. One of the most profound ways the Holy Spirit helps us discern the fake is through the practice of spiritual discernment. This is a skill that we develop over time as we listen to the Spirit's leading, read the Word, and align our hearts with God's truth. Discernment isn't just about seeing through deception, it's about developing an inner sensitivity to what is right and true. It's about cultivating the ability to listen to that still, small voice that guides us through the noise and confusion of life. When we learn to walk in step with the Holy Spirit, we become more attuned to what is real and what is fake. We begin to see beyond the surface and to recognize the deeper truths that are often hidden beneath the surface of people, situations, and opportunities. The Holy Spirit gives us the wisdom to know when to say yes and when to say no, when to take action and when to wait. The fake world will always try to pull us away from the truth, but the Holy Spirit helps us stay grounded in what is real. The fake world thrives on image, appearance, and illusion. It tells us that success is measured by how many followers we have, how much money we make, or how many people admire us. But the Holy Spirit reminds us that true success is measured by our character, by our integrity, and by our ability to live in alignment with God's will. It helps us recognize that the world's standards of success are fleeting, but God's definition of success is eternal. The Holy Spirit empowers us to reject the fake and to embrace the real. It strengthens us to live with purpose, to walk in integrity, and to follow the path that leads to true fulfillment and peace. But we must be willing to listen to the Spirit's warnings, to trust its guidance, and to resist the temptations of the fake world.